Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. So, the theory seems to be pointing towards Craig. But, whenever I look into these murder cases and things of that nature, whatever show I'm watching, the one thing I always ask myself is motive. Now, I understand. No, I really don't. I'm trying to understand why would Craig try to kill Sonny and try to kill Abby when they were allies, when they exposed Leo for trying to go after his money. At least that's what Leo said in the beginning. But why would he sit there? I mean, here's the thing. I get he wanted to get back at Leo. Let's just sit there and say that. Why bring in people that actually helped open his eyes? I don't I don't get that. I mean, I know this is going to make sense. Maybe it's going to make sense towards the end when we finally do get to figure out who is the killer. By the way, Chad was talking to Craig, and Craig was all like, "Oh, I'm sorry for your wife's passing, this, that, and the third, and I didn't really know that much." And like, "Yep, this is diving right into a very awkward and uncomfortable conversation." Okay, I mean, I know there's really no way, there's no words you can sit there and say to make somebody feel better or comfort. I get that, but there's one point where he just hugs him, and I'm like, "Why would you hug him for? Why?" But he does hug him, and that's when Chad's like, "Oh, I smell vanilla." Okay. I just don't understand what's the motive behind it. Now, we'll start off with Gwen and Leo. They're running through the list, seeing who did it. Finally, Leo's like, most likely, it was Craig. He wants to sit there and get revenge on me and this, that, and the third, for screwing him over and thinking that I was after his money at the time. So at first, you know, Gwen is like, no, he's a doctor. That's what he does. He heals people. He doesn't kill people. But then, of course, Leo has to remind her, oh, you remember that time where you were you noticed that doctor's mule for delivering happy pills, we'll sit there and say. So, with that being said, it seemed like Gwen was like, you know what, okay, all right. Leo did apologize multiple times. Um, Even though he was still kind of worried that Gwen was going to turn him in. Gwen sent a text to Rafe. Rafe Robocops that door, and I'm like, who's gonna pay for that? Like seriously, who's gonna pay for that? He kicks in the door, and he's like, "Oh, Leo, you're under arrest," yada yada yada. And then Gwen is like, "Yeah, that's right, I did it." Gwen, I mean, when you really think about it, she actually had me fooled. Gwen is the type of person that would drug up another woman just to be with a man. Okay, just to be with a man. And of course, her favorite one of her quotes is, "A girl's got to do what a girl's got to do. And if I got to scramble this chick's head up, so be it." So, in reality, I feel kind of stupid now. I don't know why I even thought that Gwen would sit there inside with Leo and be like, oh, we're going to be best friends and we're going to be all good and everything like that. And because she had me fooled. She really did. Gabby's not sure who she wants to be with. Stefan's back. Lee's been great. But, you know, Stefan's back. So she's torn. And at first, Rafe was like, listen, you haven't even really been dating, Shin that long. And of course, Gabby's like, yeah, it's the same thing with you and Nicole. So they both go back and forth and they kind of realize that, you know, there's no room for any one of them to talk. Um, it's like, boo, listen, if you don't want to be with Lee anymore, you need to tell him because it's already an awkward situation. You two work together. Of course, I sit there and I should say that in past tense because EJ convinced Stefan to, take back, help him take back the Mara Enterprises. And the first thing that they do when they get in the office is, Stefan's like, all right, yeah, now I'm alive, I'm going to be taking those shares back. The shares that you got when I was dead? Yeah, those are going to be gone. So, I guess for the time being, you'll still have, you'll still have Lee. Chad did want to, running into Stefan. I don't know what kind of history that they have. All he said was, when Steph was like, listen, I'm sorry to hear that, this, that, and the third. And Chad was like, after what you did to my wife, like, you practically don't even deserve to speak her name. I don't know what it is. Please let me know in the comment section below what that is, because whatever it is, it's not some simple. I have an idea what it is, and I feel like it starts with the letter R. Don't write it out in the chat if it is that. Just say R or bleep out some of the things, and I know exactly what you mean. Craig comes in there, gives his his phony. Yeah, so Craig comes in there, gives his phony, congratulations. Oh, I'm gonna buy you a drink. Hey, let's go out and get dinner. I'm like, you're at the pub. Like, why are we moving locations for? But Craig was like, listen, we can invite Chloe and yada yada yada, Brady. Now, throughout their little, I guess I wouldn't even sit there and say like dinner or whatever. Throughout their conversation, Craig kept talking about. Well, in the beginning, he was like, "I came back here for Leo because I felt like he killed Abby and stabbed Sonny and everything like that because I broke his heart." And even Clyde was like, that sounds extremely egotistical of you." Sit there and think that your breakup just sent them over the edge. You know what? Here's the thing. I know that Clyde has done some really terrible and bad things, but when Craig comes into the room and the way he's acting, I was like, my goodness, this guy is a criminal. And yet, you look like the slimiest person in the room. How is that even possible? And that can't just be me. The fact that he walked in there and was all like, oh, well, Leo might have did this, that, and the third. And then, one second. And then when, Nancy's like, hey, I want to sit there and tell, Chloe the good news, alone. And, Nancy was like, oh, it's a good time for you two to get to know each other. Now, the whole time, I felt tension between those two when Craig walked into the room, especially when he found out that she was married to him. And, that little fake, phony smirk on his face. I couldn't wait for them to get out whatever it is that they had to get out. So the minute she left, Craig is all like, "Oh, I know about your past, and I don't think you're good enough for her." And this, that, and the third. I was like, "Bro, seriously? You done lied to this woman for a very long time, and then you cheated on her and nearly broke her, and you have the audacity to sit there and say that Clyde isn't good enough for Nancy? I mean, for her? Are you serious? You ever just saw somebody say something so outrageous, so stupid, and just makes themselves look even more dumb, and you're just like you have some iron nerves to sit there and say that. That's literally what it was like. I don't know, it's something other about this TV or it's about this music. It's like certain songs are higher than others. Anyway, yeah, so the fact that he was like, oh, I don't think you're good enough for her. The slime ball in the room doesn't think that Clyde is good enough for her. That's rich. That's good. Jack tries to, have a surprise, make a surprise for Jennifer as far as ice cream, but Jennifer was like, I used to do that with my daughter. I can't, I can't like go back and start doing that. So Jack was like, we can bring the kids in, we can sit there and share stories and stuff like that. And it made her smile for a little bit. They had this happy moment when they was eating ice cream and stuff. And of course, that came crashing all down the minute that Jack decided to, wash the dishes. Jennifer was like, yeah, I knew that she was going to do something along the lines of those pills. Um, Because, yeah, like I said, when he left, she went right in the bag, popped one, and was just good to go. I think she said that she started thinking about even doing that when her mother died. That's a long time. I remember that. Like, I think that was like 2 years ago. So she's been, pretty much edging about doing something like that for two something years. I mean, it's the first time we saw her actually take one of those pills on screen, but I mean, after Abby was gone, I mean, how many times was she doing that off camera, off screen? I think that's about it. But yeah, this was a good episode. This was a good episode. I, these episodes, for the most part, has been solid. Since it's been on Peacock. Don't get me wrong. The majority of episodes, even when it wasn't on Peacock, was still better than GH. Um, and I know every now and then, some of the episodes are going to be as popping as the other ones. But again, so far, it's been a really good start. And if this is going to be the trend, this is going to be the norm. Because let's be honest, and I've said this before, especially when it came to GH, there are too many times where people just expect average. Like when people just accept average as, all right, that works for me. And I don't like that. But like I said, it's been solid this week. It's been solid since it first started. And it's only going to get better. Only going to get better. And I just can't wait. So I think that's pretty much about it. I released the most pertinent information. With that being said, I'm going to go. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe. And I will see you in the next video.